afternoon. Gonna get everything organized. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Monica Florez. I'm a pediatrician in South Florida since 2001, and this is not a cooking show. This is a show that I talk about stuff while I prep my food for the next week because, one, I believe in multitasking. Two, if at 53 I can learn to food prep and organize food and eat vegetables and be healthier, then I think that if you're a young, motivated parent, you could do it too, as long as you have the scientific information and the focused information on how to make more bang for your buck, what things you want to do to make your cells as happy, healthy as it can be for yourself, for your family, for your parents, for your kids, for whomever you want to have a healthy body and hopefully decrease the risk of diseases down the road. So just a little bit of background. I learned to cook I still haven't learned to cook. So I use very little stuff and it's usually a sharp knife, a cutting board, and my food processor, which I use the great big one from KitchenAid. And I'm not sponsored, but I'm willing to be sponsored. And what I do for the most part for during the week is vegetable and protein. So my goal is to be eventually 100% healthy, but that's kind of boring. So realistically, I'm going to say my goal is to be 90% healthy. So 90% of the time, do healthy things. And let me wash my hands. Use this. And the reason for that is because you still need to do some things that are going to be fun, like eat cake and brownies and things like that. And so it's hard to not have that stuff, not do that stuff. So we're starting first with broccoli because broccoli I feel is one of the healthiest vegetables. Not only me, but actually science says it. It's one of the healthiest vegetables. I have to check and see. This is from Costco. So love. Here you go. These words, you always want to see them on your products as much as possible. You want organic. Why do you want organic? Because that tells you that they are made with less chemicals and pesticides. And then I like it from Costco because they wash it for me. And so then I don't wash it. And yes, I trust them, so I don't wash it. You could not trust them and wash it, and that's fine too. But for me, it's about doing the most amount of work in the least amount of time. So, doing broccoli. I learned to eat vegetables when I was 53, and it was a last-ditch effort. I was having some personal health issues, and I read some books, functional medicine. My husband does a lot of that, peptides, vitamins, and I basically said, all right, I'm going to give this a try for 3 months. Swallow 20 pills a day in supplements, stop drinking alcohol, stop eating potato chips, go and exercise, start to meditate and deep breathe and do zone 2 walking, all these science-driven things that are promoted on Instagram and TikTok as the end-all and be-all. And they actually do work, and I'm personal evidence of that. They do work. The thing is that you have to do them all. There is no one free pass, and then you have to do them all of the time, or most of the time. And you have to also know that when you start doing them all, then your body will not be happy. It will retaliate. In addition to that, the great news is, though, it doesn't matter how old you are, if you start being healthier, your body can heal. Now, obviously, the later you start, the less likely there is going to be that you're going to heal all the way. The younger you start, the more reserves and the healthier you'll be down the road. So we already talked about the 5 places where you want to be healthy. You want to be healthy in your diet. You want in what you eat. You want it focused on vegetables and protein. And your gut wants a variety of vegetables and protein. It's very picky. It doesn't like just to eat one vegetable, so it's not like you can just eat broccoli all day, every day, and you're going to be healthy. No, some days it wants broccoli, other days it wants peppers, other days it wants Brussels sprouts. I just ate those this week, first time ever. They're like miniature lettuces, and they sound disgusting and they kind of look funny, but they actually, I won't go as far as saying delicious because they're not like chocolate, but they, I didn't throw up, and it didn't make me gag, and it didn't taste any worse than broccoli. So I think that's a win. So diet is the other one. Lifestyle, you need to sleep, you need to get sunshine, you need to have deep breathing, you need to bring down your sympathetic tone where you're always kind of going like this and going crazy. And you want to exercise in your zone 2, which is your heart rate. There's a mathematical equation, Google it basically. And if you don't want to do math, then basically if you are walking to the point where you can almost not talk, then you're in zone 2. And you want to do that, a goal of 60 minutes throughout the day. You don't want to exercise just one time a day or one time a week. It's not like you can do 5 hours in one day and call that exercise. Your body doesn't think that's a great idea. And you want your environment to be free of chemicals and toxins. And then you need supplements. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's a long introduction to what we're going to talk about today. That is actually what I started with. So I started with supplements. One, because I didn't have the education yet about the diet and the eating and things like that. I knew, eat healthy and exercise and that sort of stuff. And I knew that you weren't supposed to eat bread and pasta and rice and potatoes. But I really didn't know a lot about micronutrients and macronutrients and protein counts and do I count calories or not. So while I educated myself on that, and because I did a test, it's a plasmalogen profile that my husband runs through his company, Life Respawn, Dr. Timothy Willingham. And so I got that test back and it showed that I was not doing very well. I had no mitochondria. They were all very sad and not energized whatsoever. And my cells, even though I had like tons of cholesterol because they were very high, it wasn't the good stuff that was making cells that would be happy and communicating and things like that. And so it scared me, and so I did the supplements. And I went full gorilla with supplements, and when you do supplements, you have to know that it's not just one thing that you have to replace, it's several different things. So I wish I could tell you that it's just going to be like one pill, and it's also very individualized. So anything that I'm telling you today is based on me, and it's based on what I know about my body. But in order for, and doing a basic multivitamin usually is not going to harm or hurt anyone. I have a family member who does takes vitamins, and she gets into allergy, so she can't take vitamins. I have somebody else that I know that takes B vitamins, and they go, oh, and so it can happen that something that is naturally occurring and normal can hurt you. So you have to really be careful when you do things. Supplements are medicines. They are medications. So you could have an allergy. You could have what we call an idiopathic reaction, a weird reaction that your body has. So you have to do it with care, and you do it one at a time. When you start things, just start one thing at a time, 1 week at a time, and then increase as you go on. All right. Before we go to that, I just want to catch you up, because if you were here yesterday, you saw my Spanish version, and I made green bean casserole for the first time. So I'm Colombian. When we Colombians have Thanksgiving, we usually have like beans and rice and steak. So green bean casserole is not part of my culture. And this is my green bean casserole that I made with the help of ChatGPT. And I made it healthy with coconut milk. And I made it with the chomp beef sticks, which I love as a snack. And onions, obviously, and portobello mushrooms. And it was good. I tasted it. It looks gross, though. It's not visually appealing, but it is good. These are the salads that I made last week. I had one leftover salad, so I'll probably have that for lunch today with my little red onions. And these are the Brussels sprouts. Remember how I chopped them up last week? I still have a few left over, see, like this? And they're actually quite good. They taste like miniature lettuces. And look at me, I ate it. I'm not throwing up in my mouth. They were like this. I also learned that you can put them in an air fryer, and you air fry them a little crispy. A little olive oil, a little salt, and you can kind of pretend they're almost like a potato chip. So, they're not a potato chip, but if you close your eyes, cross them, jump up and down, and stand on your head, you can kind of make yourself think that they're potato chippy. All right, so supplements. Let's get back to that. I need some water. Oh, there's, hold on 1 second. So, everyone in my opinion needs supplements, except for newborn babies. If they're formula fed, they're already getting all their supplements through the formula. There are some things that if you want to be super like preventative, there are some supplements that are available to help them as they develop the brain, but definitely have to be under doctor's guidance and not anything that that you can buy really just kind of over the counter. You have to talk to a professional, like me. And then breastfed babies. Breastfed babies also need vitamins. They actually need vitamin D in order, because the vitamin D is the one that usually comes from the sun. It helps to give you kind of energy and helps a lot of your cells. It can do what they need to do. So I guess before we start supplements, let's talk about how your body works real quick. The way your body works, it's made up of a whole bunch of cells. And those cells come together and they make organs. And then those organs come together, heart, eyes, brain, liver, and they perform different functions and they make your body. Now, inside of each cell, it's like a factory in there. They're tiny miniature factories, and each organ-making factory is different. So the cells of your brain do different jobs and different functions in the cells of your liver, and the cells of your liver do different functions in the cells of your heart, but they all use basically the same pathways. They just communicate to each other, and the products that they produce are different. So it's like there's one factory producing cars, and then there's another factory producing clothes, and another factory producing shoes, and so they're all producing things that are going to be sold at Costco, but they all use the same rubber and gears and screws, but they all come together differently. And in order for them to come together, they go through, and to produce the things that they need to produce, they need energy. And that energy is called ATP. That's it, the energy that our body uses. It's like the gasoline of our body. And for us to give our body that gasoline, we have to drink water and eat food. So it's usually fatty foods, proteins, and then our micronutrients, like our vegetables. When we don't eat the appropriate foods, or I washed these already. If we don't eat the appropriate foods, or the foods that we do eat are maybe not as nutrient rich as they used to be, or nutrient dense that they used to be, then you will see that your cells are not being given enough reagents in order to make the product they need to make. They'll still make the product, so they'll still milk your car. You know, that factory's still going to keep going, because cells are they're just driven. They want to work, they want to do well, and so they're going to make a car, but that car might not have tires. So if your car doesn't have tires, you're not going nowhere. So that's what happens when your cells are not given the nutrients that they need. And so that's why it's so important not only to eat healthy, but then also reinforce those nutrients. And so when some people will say to me, well, if you eat healthy, that's all you need to do. If I'm like, now that I'm eating healthier, you shouldn't need and to have vitamins. And I wish that was true. In a couple layers of why not. So kids, remember what's happening in children. They're building bodies. Like they're like this little, and then they end up being this big in 18, 25 years. And it's not just the growth and the mass that they're developing. They're also using that energy for intelligence, for creativity. And so all of that requires a lot of energy, a lot of information, a lot of cells to be working. And so you need to nourish those cells to the best of their abilities. Adults, let's be real. Most of us are not well behaved. Most of us have smoked something, drank something, not exercised for several years, put chemicals in our hair, stuff on our nails, perfumes on our body, and so we have poisoned. It's a big word to use, but we have not taken good care of our bodies, and so we need to kind of replenish all the damage that we've done, either knowingly or unknowingly. In addition, even if we start eating healthy, so that's kind of fill up the hole with less resources. So when you give it the resources, when you give it the B vitamins, the CoQ10, everything else, you'll be able to get healthier, hopefully at a faster pace than simply just eating healthier, and you'll feel the results of it in your body faster. The next thing is, so that's why even if you eat healthy, you have to have, in my opinion, at least some basic supplements. And so, all right, as an aside, this is how I chop things. And so I do the pulse thing here on the KitchenAid, like that. And then why do I do that? Because I feel like when things are smaller, they are easier to eat. It's not as like cringy, I guess is the word, to eat broccoli when it's like this big, and thinking of like putting this thing in my mouth, it's just gross, versus when it's like this little, then I can just put it in my mouth and not a big deal. In addition to that, this way, if it's all chopped up, pre-chopped the week of, then I can add it into different things. So I'll add it into my curry. If I make a curry, I'll add it into, if I make salmon, I'll put some broccoli around it and put it in the air fryer and have some of it that way. I'll put it obviously into my salads. If you do smoothies, not that you would put broccoli in smoothies, but if you had other veggies like spinach and stuff like that, then it was already chopped, then you could do it. So prepping the food is really important. So this broccoli, and because it's a short short week, I'm gonna put half of it in the fridge and the rest, and that's why I love broccoli, in the freezer. And then I can cook it. And it's interesting, sometimes vegetables, they have certain micronutrients if they're raw, and other micronutrients when they're cooked. So just thinking that. Alright, so now, what supplements? What is it that you need to take? So we talked about babies. They need their vitamin D if they're breastfed. If they're formula fed, reach out to me if you want to be bougie and like optimize your brains a little bit more. And then for kids, little kiddos, you want a liquid multivitamin that they'll take on a daily basis. Just a liquid multivitamin is usually more than enough if your kiddo is eating healthy. And then for an older child who can't swallow pills yet, then it would be a liquid multivitamin or a gummy multivitamin. The problem with the gummies is that all of them usually have some sort of sugar. So even when they say sugar-free, they're sweet. So if they're sweet, there's something in there that's sugar. And that's usually going to be stevia or monk fruit if they're like more on the healthier variety. And they're colored, and they're going to be colored with like fruit instead of dyes if they're on the healthier variety. My favorite over-the-counter toddler to early childhood vitamin is Smarty Pants right now. There's another one, Haya, that I believe I have to look into it though a little bit more and see if that one has enough and the correct things in it. But those are pretty straightforward. And then the last is an adult multivitamin, like the Thorne Basic Essentials Foundation. Those are pretty standard ones that you can find. Usually not at CVS and Walgreens. You usually do have to go to like a vitamin place or a vitamin store. When this video ends, I'll put a link to my Amazon, my daughter's Amazon store, where I have all the vitamins that I recommend that you can get. And then if you work with me or my husband directly, then we would go on and go on to like more, what we call like professional grade vitamins. What makes those vitamins? Designs for Health. Can't remember the other names of them off the top of my head. What makes them professional? They usually have better testing, so they're tested for quality. So vitamins are not regulated. They basically, somebody could say that this vitamin has 1,000 units of vitamin A, and they could just be putting 10 units of vitamin A in there, and nobody really is looking. So, and there are some certifications that are kind of more standardized, but certifications than others. So the professional grade vitamins usually use the higher standards. Now, a multivitamin, the professional, and within the professional grade and within the over-the-counter, you also have to know what you're getting from those vitamins. So let's look. Where's my Thorne multi? I don't know. Well, I don't have the Thorne multi on hand, but we'll do this one because this is professional grade that I love. Designs for Health, Be Supreme. So in the back here, that's, people send me pictures, like I'll ask patients, oh, what vitamin are you on? Send me a picture, get a picture, and they always send me a picture of this, okay? I don't really care what that says. What I care is what this says. Just like in food, you have to read the ingredients. And then you have to read what each one is, how much of each one, and what kind of it is. Like right now, it's funny, I had a patient come to the office, and I've been talking about vitamins with my patients even before I started to get this healthy. I've been telling kids, do your vitamins, do your vitamins, do your vitamins. And this mom, which I've talked to her lots, she's like, oh, I saw this thing on TikTok, because of course that's where you get all your information. And children with autism, they need a type of vitamin. It's something F and this, and I'm like, are you talking about B vitamins, like methyl cyanocobalamin versus methylated B12? And she's like, yeah, that's what it was. So basically, that's what you need to look for. When you look for the vitamins, you have to look for the ones that are more bioavailable. So it's not just the concentration, but it's the ability of that vitamin to go through your intestines, through your liver, into your blood, and into your cells. And some of them are easier for your body to process, and others require other pathways to process them to a thing that you can do. So it's a lot easier to just take the car manufacturer 4 tires and say, okay, put these on my car, versus taking the car mechanic rubber and metal and saying, hey, can you take this rubber and metal and make it into a tire that you could put into my car? So you want just the tire. You want to go, boom, put the tire on, keep going. So that goes to say, when you do these vitamins, you have to do your research or work with a professional that can say, this multivitamin is better. And a lot of times when I've done this and looked, the professional ones are not necessarily more expensive. I thought they would be, but they're not. You sometimes have to take less of it. Sometimes you need, they're kind of better tasting, things like that, so you're more likely to finish it. So the cost is, I would say, on par. Sometimes a little cheaper, sometimes a little bit more expensive, but nothing exorbitant. So if you're gonna go for it, I say go for it using a professional grade multivitamin. All right. So everyone needs a multivitamin. It gives you nutrients, usually B, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. The D you want is the D3 instead of the D2, in addition to going out into the sunshine. And then you also want to start to help the rest of your cells. So then you want to start to support like your immune system. And one of the things that you can do for your immune system is probiotics, prebiotics, support your gut flora. So that is one thing that when I started to be healthy, I took those. The thing with probiotics that we take in a pill, you take them and they don't like go inside of you and then just start continually forming more good bacteria. You have to continuously give yourself the probiotics and pills. So in the long run, for probiotics, what you want to do is you want to heal your gut so your gut makes the healthy micronutrients that will allow you to absorb your dopamine and your food and your fatty acids and process your food. So that you do through the veggies. If you do this through veggies, through fermented foods, eventually you may not even need probiotics, or you may need probiotics only during certain circumstances, like you had to use a lot of antibiotics, or you are getting sick and you just want to give your immune system like an extra boost. Okay, so multivitamin, probiotics, maybe, maybe not. Most people need extra vitamin D in addition to the vitamin D that they take in their multivitamin. This was something that surprised me a ton. During COVID, vitamin D was one of the vitamins that was like touted to help people, making sure that their vitamin levels were really high. So I started to check a lot of my kiddos for vitamin D. And I think of all, and I've done at least more than 100 tests, and I probably had 2 kids with vitamin D levels in the 50s. Most everybody, I've had kids as low as 9. Traditional medicine doctors want your vitamin D level to be around 30. I like my levels to run around 50 to 90. Too high is bad. So there's fat soluble and water soluble vitamins. So the vitamins that, all right, I don't know about this. What do you think? You think this will work? Hold on, we'll talk about fat soluble and insoluble in a minute. We're gonna go for it. Ooh, that actually worked. Look at that! Isn't that cool? That's the first time I did cucumbers. All right. So fat soluble and water soluble. Water soluble means the vitamins go in, and if you have too many of them, then you pee it out. That's why your urine kind of turns like a dark yellow when you start vitamins. Fat soluble means that they go in and they get absorbed and they can be stored in your fat. And when they are stored in your fat, you can just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. And so D, A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins that you can basically overdose on. And you can actually overdose on water soluble ones too. So there is a risk of taking too many supplements that have too many. So sometimes if you take like a probiotic, they'll put vitamin D in it, and then you're taking vitamin D in the multivitamin, and then there's vitamin D that the doctor said you were low, so you take vitamin D. And so all of a sudden now you're taking like 10,000 units a day, and you didn't check the back of the bottle. Again, that's why you have to be very careful when you do supplements. that you do it under somebody's guidance who's overviewing it, and not just be like, here, you need to take these, you should do this. Actually looking at the products that you're purchasing to see what's in them, and depending on the dosing, 1 teaspoon has 1,000, but if you take a tablespoon, it's going to have 4 times that much. So you just have to be really, or 3, however many teaspoons are in a tablespoon. I can do math. So just be careful. So we got multivitamin, we got D's, we talked about probiotics. From there, then there's a lot of other vitamins that, well, I will put B vitamins in the almost everybody needs them. Probably kids, depending, but by the time they get to be teens and stuff, kids who have like ADHD symptoms, autism, definitely need probably extra B supplementation. Most of them will need it. And that one, again, you have to be careful with, because if that is one of the vitamins that, and then it's all the rage, I know, on TikTok now with the gene mutation, that if you can't process the B, and you should only take a certain B and blah, 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 which is true. All of that is true. So you have a couple options there. You can do the genetic testing. I think you can even buy them on Amazon, and you can check to see if you have that mutation, or you can just take the bougie form that bypasses that system and goes directly to where the cell where it needs to go. And then that way, even if you don't have the mutation, you're still not stressing your body out as much. So taking a B vitamin with the methylated compounds is probably going to be a better option for almost everybody. All right, so B, did you print out my thing, babe, or no? Did it finally print?
I think so.
I actually made 9 pages worth of notes, but it wasn't printing this morning, so let me check and see. Good, I got it. There it is. All right, so yes, B, CoQ10. CoQ10, it is, where do these things work? I think that's important, because if you don't know why you're taking things, you're gonna stop taking things. Because it's not like you take this medicine, it's not like a shot of coffee or, you know, or a Dorito, let's say. You put a Dorito in your mouth, boom, like taste explosion, right? There's like all that salt and the crispiness and the crunchiness, like you immediately know that you just ate a Dorito and that it's doing stuff to your body. None of it's good. But, I have to wash. So the cucumbers are organic, the broccoli was organic. These are not organic, but they are from Costco. And I'm still hoping Costco will see the light and start buying organic peppers. But you can choose to either go to 5 different stores. It says wash before eating. You can choose to go to 5 different stores and make sure you get everything organic. Or in the interest of time, you could just, you know, make do. And sometimes I go to the stores and sometimes I don't. So we're doing peppers. I love peppers because they're colorful. They have lots of cool nutrients. They're sweet, so they taste yummy. You can eat them in different ways. You can actually eat them as like a vehicle for other stuff. So you can put hummus on them. The curry dip, because I don't do rice anymore, so I can put the curry on there, made of course with yogurt or coconut milk. And then that way, and then they're great in salads, and it gives a little bit of a happy taste to the salads. All right. So now I got my veggies. I got that. This one, we'll put them over here. All right, I kind of forgot what we were talking about. Shoom, shoom. If anybody's listening, let me know. No, I don't see anybody. All right. So we're talking about vitamins, fat soluble, insoluble. Oh, CoQ10. We were talking about CoQ10. So you have different pathways in your body. So your body Like, let's talk about how you make energy. You make energy through the food that you eat, and then within that food, it gets broken down into glucose, fatty acids, and then it goes through glycolysis, and it goes through this big chemical cycle called the Krebs cycle. And then from there, it goes through another cycle called the electron transport chain. All of that is to say, all of them is kind of like a factory, a manufacturing, that there's several different steps throughout all of those. And if you look them up, you'll see it's like you go from here to here, and then you make this protein, and make this one, and then make this one. And in order to go from one to the other, you need helpers. And those helpers are your zinc, your selenium, your Bs, your Ds, all of these micronutrients that are in the foods and that are in the supplements are the ones that are necessary for you to go from one step to the other. So CoQ10 is one of those. It's one of the it's in the electron transport chain, so it's one of the cofactors that's needed in order to make energy. If you don't have that, you can't make energy. Just as an aside, don't put these in the food processor. They turn into like pepper soup. Learn that one the hard way. So CoQ10 for people who maybe have like fatigue. You've hit the wall. You have enough energy in the morning, or you wake up tired. You just have no desire to do anything. You want to go to the beach? No. You want to do this? No. Those kind of people, children sometimes with autism, you may want to consider CoQ10 also. So that is one of them. Again, there's different forms of CoQ10, some that are easier to digest than others. Not digest, to be absorbed and more useful, basically. Both of them are good, but none of them will, as far as I know, I'll have to look it up if there's any CoQ10 toxicity. So CoQ10 is one of them. This also just makes me think of another point. For vitamins, so we talk about Doritos, now you know, oh my gosh, that's a Dorito. All right, well, guess what? When you take vitamins, you don't feel anything. All you feel is that you're throwing your money away because your pee turns yellow. So it takes your body, and your body may get a little shocky once you start taking vitamins. I didn't think this happened, but it's true. About 2 or 3 weeks after I started taking vitamins, all of a sudden I would like take them, and then like an hour later, like inside, I'd be like, and so I had to kind of go down on the dose a little bit and then start myself back up slowly, because it was almost like, I guess it's parts of your body who are doing pathways are just like waking up. And so it starts to give you some symptoms. So listen to your body, but it's not going to happen immediately. And 3 weeks into it, and also it's not going to happen if you're not giving your body the vitamins that it needs. So I need a lot more vitamins than a 20-year-old girl would need. And so if she takes the same vitamins that I take, she's just probably peeing them out. If I didn't take all of them, then I wouldn't have the same effects, and I would need to then add them in so that I could sleep better, have more energy, have less joint pain, process my cholesterol better, etc. Also, the vitamins that I need, since I had cholesterol issues, sugar regulation issues, are going to be different than the vitamins that a man needs, because one, he's a man, so he has testosterone, or somebody who has dementia. They may need higher, different, just because I have brain fog, I don't need as many as what they need. So it's really important to work with somebody who is aware of what those things are, so that you're not just spending money and just peeing it out. Like, who wants to do that? All right. So that we got CoQ10, we got some anti-inflammatories. Those fit in, I would say, curcumin, NAC, vitamin C, quercetin. Those are omegas, omega, EPA, DHA. Those are kind of anti-inflammatories. They bring down the inflammation. So when your cells are we talked about our cells, their job is to make energy, and they're going to continue to work until they can't work anymore. So the cells that were making that car without the wheels, okay? So let's say you got the factory, you're not nourishing yourself well, and so now you're making cars without wheels. And so your body goes, what the heck, guys? What's going on over there? Why are you making cars without wheels? So it'll send other cells to kind of like try to teach you, okay, you're supposed to do it this way, all right? You're supposed to do it this way. Fix it here, you gotta put the wheels on. And those cells are part of your immune system. They can go crazy. They can be like, dudes, guys, come look over here. These people are making cars without wheels. Keep coming, come, other immune cells, come on over here. Look at these, attack them. They're being stupid, they're not listening. So they start to attack your cells. Because your cells are not doing their job right. And that's when you get autoimmune diseases. Things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, arthritis is lupus, anything autoimmune, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is some of your cells were not working right, or maybe there was a toxic exposure or a viral illness, so people get mono or they get shingles, and the immune system gets activated, and then the immune system goes crazy, and it forms what is called autoimmune disease. Your own body starts to attack your own cells, okay? So people who have that may need more support to bring down the swelling and the inflammation, so, this was not clean, so that they don't get as swollen and inflamed, and that your body doesn't attack itself. So those would be the ones to think about. And then you want things that support your gut. We talked about probiotics. There's other butyrate, butatides that are also fabulous to support the gut. The sleep, let me tell you, I love to sleep, and I have not slept, I've now slept for the last 6 months very, very well, but since the age of 30 to 53, I slept often. And sleep is one of all the things: diet, lifestyle, exercise, supplements, meditation, toxins, etc. It's one of the things in there that if you don't get it, your body will suffer. People who don't sleep have worse issues with dementia, have worse diseases, have worse outcomes. So you have got to figure out how to sleep. And that is a whole nother talk that we'll do a different day. But there are supplements to help people who cannot sleep. For me, my inability to sleep came from my weird reaction to breads and pastas and rice. Well, not weird, just I am not strong in my ability to process those kind of sugars. And I learned that through using a glucometer, one of the continuous glucose meters, and just watching I eat X, Y happens. I eat X, Z happens. And so I eat cookies or bread or processed foods and my sugars spike and then they drop. I eat too late, I eat too early, I eat not the right food right before bed, and my sugar does all sorts of weird things and it wakes me up. So that, and if she wants to talk to me, she can watch my video. So that is one thing. So your ability to process sugar affects sleep. The way how much you run, your cortisol. So I tend to run hot all day long. Not only am I hot, but I tend to run very active. So my brain is constantly on. It is constantly thinking. It is when it's laying down, it's not like, oh yay, you're ready to rest. No, it's like, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? This thing on the list, this thing on the list. And it's not just what's going on in my brain, but it's going on in my cells. So using some supplements to bring down that that inflammation throughout the day and then right before bed. So it's not just melatonin. For the longest time I was on the hormones and melatonin, and it would allow me to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then after that I was done. And then enough of the other supplements came on hand, and it was life changing. So if you don't sleep, and that one, I'm happy to say, within a week of being on the right stuff, I could feel the difference in my sleep. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. So I think that's good to know. Magnesium glycinate is one of those. There's tons of magnesiums out there, so you have to be careful. Read your magnesium products very carefully. Educate yourself about magnesium. Some of them make you poop. Some of them help you think. Some of them work to make you sleepier and relax your muscles, and some of them don't work at all. So we're good. All right, and then EPA, DHA. If you don't eat fish, you gotta learn to eat it. That's where you get that. So that's what you want to make sure that you do. And let's see, we talked about methylation. We talked about not doing extra doses, cellular uptake, and I think that's all. So that's my talk on supplements. I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to pack up my veggies and get them ready for the week, and hope this helped and you guys learned something. Have a good day.